these problems. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, hopefully you missed the first 8 minutes of us having some technical difficulties there. I'm David Dadekian, your host for this very brief, hopefully informative interview with Rick, our managing director at the coalition. I am a founding board member of the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition. If you want to know more about the coalition, obviously you're on the Facebook page watching this, so you can click and find more information there. But the website is risbc.org. That's our coalition website. And today we're going to be talking with our managing director about the ventilation program that Commerce has put together. As I was mentioning, it's the one of the last programs to use the ARPA funds to use some COVID funding. So there are some complications involved, some requirements, not complications, requirements needed to run the program. But Rick, why don't you start with an overview? Give us, tell us what the program is exactly. Let the folks out there know what it is that the coalition is helping them facilitate and get involved with.
Absolutely. So the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition is very fortunate that we applied to be an intermediary for this program. And I believe there's somewhere between 7 and 9 intermediaries throughout the state. What that means is we applied for this as a grant program, basically so that we could have the ability to assist the members of the coalition and those that are joining us, that have already been members, and those that are joining us now throughout the state of Rhode Island, because this program does have some incredibly important benefits for small businesses in the state. And it also has a lot of intricacies that I'm hoping we can cover here, because there's been a ton of questions for them. But the ventilation program overall is meant to provide a way from COVID era funds to increase the circulation of airflow in a variety of ways for your small business. So this could be that you're a restaurant, a salon. It could even be that you're an office building as an accountant. There's a variety of ways that this can assist. So the gist of it is that if you are adding ventilation through, I'll give you specific examples that can help conjure your mind, ceiling fans, an HVAC system update, adding windows where there weren't already windows, HEPA filters, those type of things. Anything that is going to help increase the ventilation and airflow in an establishment is what this program is meant to fund. The grant funds are available for up to $10,000 to cover that program. So I want to mention that specifically because I've had questions that someone has said, okay, I'm adding new French doors or French windows to my establishment. The cost comes to $21,000. What happens? And the simple answer is that if you apply for it up to $21,000, you're still only going to get $10,000. Right. That's the max that this grant can allow. But that's the gist of what the program is meant to cover.
And this is, we should be clear, this is any small business. This is not you out there who may know me as Eat Drink RI and Rick with Federal Hill Association. We are very much involved with restaurants, and obviously we want them to apply. But this is any small business can do this, any retail store, offices too. If it helps your office have better ventilation for your employees, things of that nature, you can apply for this. This is a general program for any business out there in the state.
Absolutely.
So let's start with, I just put the link in the chat there, so you can get to the ventilation program. Let's start with how do you qualify? What do you need to apply for this program?
So I want to preface that question that this program was created almost 2 years ago, and it took a lot of time to execute and get out between the changes in state government. So the qualifications are a little bit challenging, and I want to make sure that we do touch on this. So the way that you qualify is that the state has come out with several different programs. If you have received grant funds from the state grant, which was up to $5,800, the Take It Outside money, which a lot of people did, whether they got tables, chairs, heaters, that kind of thing. So you may have received that through local state government. You may have received it through Federal Hill. You may have received it through the Rhode Island Hospitality Association. The way that you qualify is to first take a quick look at that. If you've used up any of those funds, we encourage you to still submit your application, and we'll go back and investigate what funds you've used up. But currently, the way that this is written is that you can only receive either ventilation or Take It Outside up to the $10,000 cap.
Right.
So what it means is that if you got the $5,000, call it a $5,000 grant that existed, and you got $10,000 worth of ventilation, you are maxed out in the program. It's unfortunate. It was written very poorly, and there is a piece of legislation in now to correct this. However, correcting it would not take place until July 1. It's in for the June vote on the small business budget, that it would change that ventilation, take it outside, would all be looked at as different programs. So if you've received funds up to $10,000 in any area, you wouldn't technically qualify for ventilation. If you haven't done anything, and there's a lot of people that didn't get taken outside, like I know that office buildings, a lot of salons, a lot of people didn't have a reason to participate and take it outside, so that you would qualify. The first step is to go to our website, hit the ventilation tab, you see it right at the top of the website, and it brings you directly to a quick overview and how to start the process. There's several steps, I'm sure we'll get into that, but that's the first thing you want to do is go to our website, click the information to register yourself. And if you're not really sure if you qualify on those things, we have to do the research and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, and that's the key. I mean, hopefully you're here because you're interested in the coalition. You want to be a coalition member if you're not already. The Rhode Island Small Business Coalition is a vendor essentially for this product, if you think of it that way. And so, like Rick said, you can get right to the ventilation off the RISBC.org page, or if you're on the Commerce website, you get to it there. When you go through the application, it's going to ask you, who do you want to be your vendor? And we ask that you please choose the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition as your vendor for this application. And that way, we will work with you to hopefully, get you the maximum amount of funds that you can receive.
Absolutely.
So why don't we, what are the, there's always, with all these programs, steps, dates, timelines, what's the overview there?
So right now, the first step, as we just mentioned, is to go to the coalition website, click the page, and do your first information. The link that it connects you to is going to be to the Commerce RI website, Rhode Island Commerce website. It explains to you, list what your project is, list what the cost is. Have you completed the project already? Is the project upcoming? So it asks you a series of questions to begin the first step. Technically, the way to look at this is that there is 4 steps to go into the process. Once you've done that, Commerce contacts who you've chosen for an intermediary. So in our case, the Rhode Island Small Business Coalition. We're contacted. Our first job is to go through step number 2, which is to see, does your project qualify? Do you as a small business qualify? And then we circle back with you. At that point, we circle back and say, everything looks good. It should be that you can qualify for this project. Now tell us what your next steps are as far as going to do this. And I do want to preface an important piece to this. If you've completed a project in the last 2 years, you still qualify for completing that project. It doesn't have to be a brand new project. If you're someone that already did ventilation work or new windows or new ceiling fans, you qualify as long as it was in the last 2 years, because that's when the program was written, and that you have less than $1 million in revenue. And that's an important part that I'm sorry I forgot in the last question, David, is that the way this program works is that for anywhere from 20 to 22, as long as you're open and active, you needed less than $1 million in revenue to qualify for this project. Just any one of those years. It doesn't have to be combined or anything else. It just has to be one of those years. And for 20 and 21, we're finding that most folks are qualifying because that's when the shutdowns had occurred and people weren't technically operating. So that's an important thing there. But the third step is for us to verify the work has either been completed or that you have your receipts to move forward. At that point, we can tell you, okay, your work's completed. We're going to fund you now up to your $10,000. Your work hasn't been completed. We go to the final step and say, okay, complete your work, provide us an invoice that you've been paid or that the vendor has been paid to complete the job. Step 4 is we fund you. So those are the 2 differences between having the work done and still having to do the work.
Right.
But it is something that we are trying to move at a good pace. The projection as of this morning in our calls with Commerce is that we from the coalition hope to execute the program fully by the end of July. Beforehand, if you had asked me, that would have been by the end of June. But with the legislation pending, we know that there's a lot of people that will be waiting to qualify more and have more availability to these funds. So it looks like the steps, our goal for the coalition is to have this all completed by the end of July.
But it is key to mention that these are limited funds. So, as soon as you are able to apply, whether it be now because you qualify now or after the General Assembly changes the legislation through the end of July, please do apply as soon as you can.
David, I would actually tell people to go even further with this. I would tell you, if you have an interest, I would tell you to apply now. Good point. Because if you're in the queue and you're there, it leaves you there. And if you're not immediately qualified because of these things, we're going to say, look, this is what you need to do. You got to wait 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is, to get to that point, but I would encourage anyone that has an interest to apply now so that you're in the queue.
No, that's an excellent point. Yeah. So, and as you said, the ability to use it on back projects is really key. I think so. You really, if you think, you're looking at this and you're like, well, I've done this or that, I'm not really sure I qualify. Take a look at anything you've done the last couple of years and really look and see if there's something that can qualify for this, because it's been a key part of everyone's business for the last few years. We all know it. So I wanted to ask, is there anything else coming down the pipeline that you see for programs that can help our small business coalition and the community? That we can help our community with?
Yeah, there is actually. So there is another grant that's about to be launched. I would think it's in the next 3 to 4 weeks, called the Technical Assistance Grant. So the Technical Assistance Grant is going to launch through Skills for RI. So the coalition is going to be referring people to the Skills for RI program for technical assistance. That grant is from a separate pool of funding. So the way that this is written right now is that if you received, call it the max, the $10,000 for either Take It Outside or ventilation, you can still go for technical assistance, because the cap from either program, from either of those two buckets, ventilation and Take It Outside right now are one bucket.
Right.
When that changes, it'll be different. But right now, if you look at it, that's one bucket of funds. The second bucket of funds is technical assistance. So if you did receive from technical or ventilation, you still qualify for up to a $20,000 cap to apply to technical assistance. And what technical assistance is going to be is Skills for RI is now registering vendors to assist small businesses in a variety of ways to help them recover or further grow from the results of the pandemic. So this could
and it's let me just add, it's very easy to register. I registered myself. Any level of business can do this. If you think you have a service that you can use to help other small businesses and you want to get paid through Skills for RI, because the other small businesses may not be able to afford your services, apply. It's a great use. It's a great use of funds as an intermediary to allow two small businesses to work together.
And the vendors, it should be that, like yourself, David, and myself, even Chris Parisi, who's our chairman, there's going to be a lot of vendors to be able to choose from variety. So whether you need help building a website, you need strategic planning to create a business plan. And again, it doesn't matter what the business is. It's as long as you fall under that $1 million cap again for any of those years, you can qualify to come through the Skills for RI, hire someone like David, myself, others to come in and assist you with these things. So it's really a multifaceted grant that's assisting the small businesses and also assisting the vendors at the same time. Again, they're trying really hard in the next 3 to 4 weeks to launch that. And then the last thing, which we're still gathering the information on, is energy efficiency funds that are coming out to assist with the costs that increased for gas and heat and electric over these last few months. So there is an energy efficiency program that's coming out, an energy rebate program, I should call it. We don't have all the final details or the dates on that, but that is a program that would come out as a separate use of funds as well.
Right. Yeah, and it's looking promising. We'll see. A lot of these things are behind the scenes. It's a lot of the work that we do with the coalition is kind of have these conversations and try and advocate for any small business throughout the state. Really get folks to understand that we're the key sector here. Yes, there are large corporations. We're not knocking them. They're here. But when you put all the small businesses together in the state and all the different sectors across the state, we're the largest, and we need to keep pushing that forward and letting people understand that we're not looking for handouts, but we need support the same way that these large corporations get support in different ways. So anything else we need to touch on today, Rick? Anything else we've missed?
No, thankfully we covered it all, and we apologize for running a little bit behind on this, but it is important information. We do want people to take advantage of it. If you have direct questions, you can reach out to the coalition directly. Myself, David, any of us will be happy to do a quick meeting with you. But our goal is to get this rolling really quickly. So I can't encourage you enough that if you have a project, this is important assistance for you.
Yeah, thank you. As I said, I'll put the links in the comments. I'll edit the copy and everything on the event now that we have it here, and hopefully chop off that technical difficulties at the beginning so that people can see this. And always go to risbc.org or the coalition on Facebook or Instagram for updates, things of that nature. And we hope that you want to be a member. There's a free level of membership if you want to join and just see what it's like. But then we have tiered paid memberships because we are a 503c6. We are an organization that has member fees If you'd like to join, we really would appreciate that. Again, any small business throughout the state, we're really looking to help as many small businesses as possible. RISBC.org is the coalition website, and thanks very much to Rick for doing this today. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you all.